Stoicism, there is a secret technique to maintain total control of the mind, even in the most stressful moments. In this video, I will show you how to stay calm and control your mind amidst chaos, turning pressure into your greatest advantage. And no, this isn't a superpower. It's a real skill you can learn and master. I know what you're thinking. You've heard plenty of empty advice, promises of change that disappear as quickly as they appear. But today is different. Today you'll learn how to fully master your mind. The lessons you'll learn in the next few minutes could be the key to unlocking a potential you didn't even know you had. Are you ready to take control? Then let's get started. First lesson, master your body and mind. Posture reflects your mental state. Have you noticed that often your body speaks first, even before your thoughts? The way you carry yourself in life, your posture, the way you walk, breathe, and even present yourself to the world says more about you than any word. When we're tired, stressed, and overwhelmed, it's common for our bodies to slump, our shoulders to hunch, and our gaze to drop. All of that reflects what we're feeling inside. But what's most powerful is that if we learn to control our bodies, we can change our minds. Imagine the power of choosing to stand up, choosing to rise, to look up and keep your head high, even in moments of doubt or anxiety. When you do that, you're not just changing your appearance. You're telling yourself, I am stronger than this. I am capable of overcoming any challenge that comes my way. Posture isn't just about how others see you. It's about how you see yourself. The body is a reflection of the soul. When you stand with confidence, even if it's a small effort, something inside you begins to change. You start to realize you can face life in a calmer way. And this change, my friend, is not superficial. It touches the soul. When you breathe deeply, keep your shoulders open and your chest lifted, your brain receives those signals and begins to adjust everything around you. Instead of being consumed by anxiety, you start to act with more clarity, more calm. You realize that although the world is chaotic, you can choose how to respond to it. So remember, controlling the body is often the key to controlling the mind. Every step you take with a firm posture brings you closer to inner peace. No matter what's happening inside, if you can stand tall with your head held high and your breath steady, you're telling yourself, I am capable. I am stronger than any challenge life throws at me. What are you really showing with your posture? Have you thought that by standing up every day, you're telling the world and yourself who you truly are? And what if, instead of being dragged by pressure, you chose to be calm and rational? What would happen if every new day you stood firm with clear purpose, like someone who, in the midst of chaos, keeps their mind serene and soul unshaken? Every time you rise, you're not just conquering the world around you, you're conquering your own soul. Because true strength doesn't come from shouting, but from staying calm while everyone around you loses control. Who will you be today? The choice is yours. Second lesson, decisive action, not reactivity. The power of acting with clarity. How many times in the heat of strong emotion have you acted impulsively only to regret it later? Like an automatic, reactive reflex, as if your mind was overtaken by a wave of feelings that cloud your judgment. But what if I told you there's a huge power in being calm, in not letting yourself be carried away by the current of the moment? Being calm isn't being passive. It's knowing that true strength isn't in reactivity, but in firm action. When you react, it's like losing control, as if you're being swept up by something outside of you, something that isn't yours, but that dominates you. But when you act, you regain your essence, your authority over what's happening around you. When we're in a state of reactivity, our impulses take charge. Anger makes us act without thinking. Sadness makes us close our eyes to reality. Fear paralyzes us. But in each of these reactions, there's a missed opportunity to act with clarity, to take control of the situation and walk with a calm mind, yet focused. Act not with a chaotic heart, but with a calm mind, with the certainty that even in chaos, you have the power to choose how you'll react. And this decision comes from a deep place of serenity, because when your mind is at peace, you see the world differently. You understand that emotions are temporary, that anger won't last forever, that fear can be faced. And that's where you find true strength, not in reacting, but in choosing, in acting intentionally, focusing on what truly matters, not on the distractions of the moment. A challenge, a moment where everything around you demands a quick response. The urge is strong. The desire to give the right answer or to defend yourself is immediate. But what if, instead of giving in to that, you paused? What if you took a deep breath and took a moment to observe, to reflect? Clarity arises in that moment of silence. Action is no longer an explosion, but a careful decision, a conscious choice of how you will react, so that what is in your heart truly manifests. When you act with clarity, you don't just react to what life throws at you, you respond with wisdom. You create your reality instead of being its hostage. You take control without letting fear or the frustrations of the moment cloud your vision. True strength doesn't come from those who react to the winds of life, but from those who remain steadfast, with a determined heart, knowing exactly what to do. And what if, instead of being swept away by your emotions, you allowed yourself, for just a moment, to stop and breathe before taking any action? What would change in your life if you acted with clarity, with the certainty that true strength lies in choosing how to respond? Decisive action isn't about having quick answers, but about having the courage to give the right answer at the right time, with the calm of someone who knows what truly matters. What would your life look like if you acted with this clarity, turning every moment into an opportunity to grow and become even stronger? Start acting with clarity. Stay calm, be firm, and don't leave your mark down there, writing, "I will be calm and rational." And if you find value in these videos, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell to stay updated. The next lessons, my friends, are where the secret technique will be revealed. Let's move on. Third lesson, transform difficulty into motivation. Life has a peculiar way of pushing us. It places us in situations that seem impossible to bear, those moments when everything feels like it's falling apart around us. The weight of the world presses down on our shoulders, and the feeling of being crushed by it is almost unbearable. But what if, instead of seeing these moments as the end, we could see them as a beginning? What if, in those moments of pain and uncertainty, we are on the verge of starting a journey to become stronger, wiser, and more prepared versions of ourselves? Life, in challenging us, gives us a chance for something greater. It's hard to believe, right? How can we look at pressure, pain, and fear, and instead of giving in to them, see an opportunity for growth? The key lies in the way we choose to see difficulty. What hides behind a challenge is not just suffering, but the seed of potential for change. When the weight feels unbearable, it's time to reflect. What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? These simple yet powerful questions have the power to change everything. The secret lies in how we respond. We are not defined by the obstacles we face, but by the way we choose to react to them. Difficulty doesn't have to be our enemy. On the contrary, it can be the key to shaping us and taking us to higher places of wisdom and strength. Have you ever thought that the greatest growth happens precisely when we are challenged beyond our limits? When we are at rock bottom, not knowing where to go, and the only thing left to do is try to rise? It is in that exact moment of fragility that the greatest strength emerges, because it is in this space of vulnerability that true change happens. Pressure doesn't come to destroy us. It comes to make us reborn. It challenges us to be better than we were yesterday. You might feel like you're falling, but know that, in reality, you're rising. Every challenge, no matter how painful, brings with it a hidden opportunity. Look at the people you admire, those who stand out as leaders, those who faced great challenges. What do they have in common? They didn't run away. They used the pressure as fuel, turning pain and struggle into springboards to achieve something even greater. Now think for a moment. What will you do when life places yet another obstacle in your way? Will you give in to fear and frustration? Or will you see in this moment an opportunity to rise stronger, wiser, and more capable than ever? Difficulty doesn't need to be feared. It should be embraced, because when you learn to use it as fuel, you don't just overcome challenges, you transform them into your greatest strength. And in the end, when you look back, you'll realize that it was exactly the pressure that, in the end, shaped you into the best version of yourself. Fourth lesson, the calmness of Marcus Aurelius. When we think of Marcus Aurelius, it's hard not to picture a Roman emperor surrounded by enormous responsibilities, with the weight of the empire on his shoulders, leading in times of war, intrigue, and challenges that seemed unbearable. But behind that majestic title was an ordinary man, with his own pain, doubts, and anxieties. He wasn't immune to suffering, fear, or uncertainty. However, what made Marcus Aurelius different was not the absence of difficulties, but the way he chose to face them. And this choice, this decision to stay calm amidst the chaos, is the most powerful legacy he left us. Imagine yourself for a moment in the place of Marcus Aurelius. You are leading an army in war. The tension in the air is clear. The men around you look to you, waiting for decisions that could mean life or death. The entire empire depends on the direction you decide to take. With every battle, every victory or defeat, the pressure increases. The pain of loss, the frustration of mistakes, the anguish of leading a people in such turbulent times. How would it feel to endure all of this? How do you stay calm when the world around you seems to be falling apart? Marcus Aurelius did it. He wasn't immune to suffering, but he learned to control it. He knew that no matter how intense the war or how many adversities arose, the true enemy wasn't outside of him, but inside. The real battlefield was his mind, his heart. He understood that in the end, external circumstances are uncontrollable, but how we choose to react to them is entirely up to us. This is the point he taught us. Inner peace doesn't come from the outside. It's something we cultivate through our choices. In his meditations, Marcus Aurelius writes with a striking simplicity, "Life is not what happens to you, but what you do with what happens." These words are not just a philosophical reflection, but a profound invitation for all of us. When we face difficulties, we despair and think the storm will engulf us, forgetting that we hold the power to choose how to respond. Marcus Aurelius did not deny pain, frustration, or fear, but he refused to be dominated by them. Think for a moment about the battles you face in your daily life. They may not be military wars, but often they are equally strong internal battles. It could be pressure at work, insecurity about the future, challenges in relationships, fear of loss, the weight of your own expectations. And often the temptation is to give in to panic, anger, or despair, thinking things are out of control. But just as Marcus Aurelius did, you have the power to choose calmness, to pause for a moment and decide how you will respond to it all. He teaches us that control isn't in what happens to us, but in what we do with it. The beauty of this is that no matter what life brings us, we can, with constant and conscious effort, choose to maintain our inner peace. This doesn't mean ignoring pain or being indifferent to suffering. It means looking at difficulty with courage, with the confidence that we can face even the fiercest storms without losing ourselves. Marcus Aurelius' calmness was not passive. He didn't close his eyes to problems or step away from battles, but faced them with serene wisdom, knowing his mind would be his greatest ally in achieving peace. He understood that if the storm of life threatened his spirit, he needed to be stronger than it. And this strength didn't come from anger or rigid control, but from acceptance and understanding of what really matters. He knew that by maintaining control over his own emotions, he could face any storm. And here's the big lesson. If Marcus Aurelius, facing an entire empire and the toughest battles, could stay calm, why couldn't we do the same in our lives? It's not easy, of course, but like him, we can cultivate this inner strength. We can find calmness, even when the world seems to want to bring us down. In every choice, in every moment of difficulty, we have the opportunity to decide whether we'll be ruled by circumstances or if we'll take control of our own peace. True serenity, then, is not about being immune to chaos, but about being able, in the middle of it, to look within and remember that true strength comes from knowing who we are and what we can really control. Just as Marcus Aurelius did, we can live our lives with courage, dignity, and a calmness that, even in the worst storms, will never abandon us. Fifth lesson, prepare your mind before the storm. Life, as we know, is not made up only of calm and predictable moments. Sometimes storms arrive without warning, an unexpected phone call, a sudden change at work, a painful loss, an emotional crisis. Suddenly, everything that seemed certain starts to crumble, and we find ourselves facing something we never imagined. But what if we could prepare better for it? What if the key to dealing with stormy moments wasn't waiting for everything to always be calm, but preparing our minds for the inevitable chaos? Anticipating problems might seem odd in a world that values optimism and positivity, but it's a powerful strategy to protect the mind. Negative visualization, an ancient practice that might seem strange at first, but has the power to make our minds more resilient in deep and transformative ways. Instead of expecting everything to be perfect, you prepare for what could go wrong. This doesn't mean living with pessimism or hopelessness, but rather preparing the mind to be stronger in the face of challenges. Imagine this scene. You're about to face a big challenge, a presentation at work, a difficult conversation with someone you care about, or a situation you know will test your limits. Now imagine that before facing this situation, you allow yourself to imagine everything that could go wrong. You get nervous, the words don't come out as you'd like, The environment becomes tense, and people's reactions aren't what you expected. You visualize frustration, embarrassment, disappointment, everything that could go wrong. At first, this practice might seem frightening, even destructive. But the true power of negative visualization lies in how it prepares your mind. When you anticipate these challenges, you're more prepared for them. You've already gone through the emotions. You've already prepared yourself for the worst. You've already accepted that pain and discomfort might come. When the difficulty arrives, you already know how to position yourself emotionally. Your mind isn't caught by surprise because you've already strengthened it to handle it. This isn't about creating fear, but about preparation and emotional strength. By allowing your mind to visualize the worst, you not only reduce anxiety about what might happen, but also increase your ability to deal with any tough situation. You become more aware of your limitations, your fears, and weaknesses, and find the courage to face them. It seems contradictory, but in reality, preparing for the worst can give us more freedom. The first time someone taught me about negative visualization, I thought it was about living in a state of alertness or pessimism. However, over time, I realized it was more about mentally freeing yourself. Visualizing problems helped me stop fearing the unexpected, to see difficulties as something I could face with clarity and courage. Visualizing the worst also helps put everything into perspective. Often we worry so much about the future, about what might happen, that fear becomes a prison. When you allow yourself to imagine things going wrong, you realize that you can handle them. The things that seem enormous, when looked at closely, aren't so scary. Sometimes you realize that you already have the tools inside you to deal with them. You already have the strength you need, but maybe you didn't realize it until now. And by visualizing the worst, you also start thinking of solutions. Instead of being caught by surprise and lost in emotions, you've already thought about how to react, what to do, how to act. You anticipate the strategies you'll use to handle the problem, lessen the impact of the pain, and remain steady. This anticipation strengthens the mind, and it's this preparation that can make the difference between sinking into difficulty or facing it with confidence. At its core, negative visualization is a strong reminder that, no matter what happens, you can endure the storm. It will pass. You may not have control over what comes from the outside, but you do have control over how you react to it. And by preparing your mind, you find the strength to stand firm, even when everything around you seems to fall apart. So, instead of waiting for the storm to never arrive, prepare for it. Visualize, accept, and strengthen yourself. And when it comes, it won't be the end. It will just be a test, something you've already prepared to face. And that, in itself, is already a victory. Sixth lesson: breathe and respond with rationality. Pressure comes to everyone. The unexpected moment when everything starts to pile up, anxiety takes over, and the weight of the situation seems to grow uncontrollably. The heart races, the mind becomes agitated, and often the urge to react impulsively is strong. But in that exact moment, the right response isn't to act hastily or give in to impulse. What you need is a pause, a deep, conscious pause, which begins with something simple, but very important: breathing. Taking a deep breath may seem like too simple an action, but it's the first step to regaining control. In moments of pressure, our body tends to react automatically. Breathing becomes shallow, the mind races, and emotions take over. But by stepping back and breathing deeply, you activate a part of your body that slows down the emotional response and triggers a more rational one. It's like being the captain of a ship in a storm. The sea is rough, the wind is strong, but by calmly taking the helm, you can steer the boat away from obstacles. It sounds simple, right? But the key lies in constant practice. When you feel pressured, stuck in a tough situation or a tense conversation, the first thing you should do is stop and breathe deeply. Breathe in through your nose, count to 4, hold for a moment, and then exhale slowly through your mouth. This isn't just about relaxing, but about preparing yourself. It's like giving your mind the necessary space to stop reacting impulsively and start thinking clearly. When you breathe, not only do you oxygenate your body, but you also help your thoughts become clearer. Deep breathing gives you important time to reflect and view the situation with more rationality. The mind needs space where automatic reflexes don't dominate your actions. Instead of acting out of haste, fear, or anger, you give yourself the chance to respond with more wisdom. Sometimes the response that feels most urgent and instinctive isn't the best, and it's in that interval, in the pause that breathing offers, that you can better see the whole situation. Have you ever regretted an impulsive reaction, acting without thinking, and later realizing you could have responded in a calmer and more effective way? We've all been there, and that's exactly why we need to train our minds to, in the midst of pressure, take a step back before acting. Deep breathing isn't just a technique that relieves momentary pressure. It's protection against the destructive effects of impulse. And why is this pause so important? Because our impulsive reactions are often driven by emotions like anger, fear, and anxiety. While these emotions are natural and necessary, they shouldn't be the only things controlling our responses. If we let our emotions decide for us without thinking calmly, we end up making rushed decisions that we often regret. But when we give ourselves time to reflect, to consider the consequences of our actions, our rational mind can finally take over. Think about the situations in your everyday life, the small storms you face, a misunderstanding at work, a message that annoys you, an argument with someone close to you. When you feel the pressure building and the urge to react is strong, remember that the pause is your greatest ally. Breathe. Breathe with the intention of stepping back and observing, instead of reacting. Ask yourself, what really matters here? How can I respond in a way that helps resolve the situation, rather than making it worse? This simple act of stopping and thinking before acting can make all the difference between a negative reaction and a calmer response. Breathing is just the beginning, but reflecting is the next step. Breathe, then think. Ask yourself, do I really want to react with anger now? Is this the best way to deal with this? How can I act to preserve peace for myself and others? These minutes of reflection are often enough to prevent you from getting caught up in a wave of impulsive reactions and regret later. Remember, we're not talking about ignoring or suppressing our emotions. The idea is not to push aside what we feel, but to choose how to deal with what we feel. Breathing and reflecting help us control our emotions so we're not controlled by them. We don't need to react impulsively or in an exaggerated way. We can act with wisdom, calm, and clarity. And in the end, that's the big truth. The pressure won't go away, but you can become stronger in the face of it. You can train your mind to react rationally, to act thoughtfully rather than impulsively. And this ability to pause, breathe, and reflect is one of your greatest shields against life's storms. It will help you face difficulties with balance and wisdom, always in control, always ready to respond in the best way possible. 7th lesson, silence is power. Start using it. In a world where pressure and chaos seem constant, knowing how to stay calm becomes a rare and powerful skill. Everyone faces moments when external pressures try to steal our inner peace, but it's in those moments that true strength shows. Instead of being swept away by stress and anxiety, you can learn to be the calm center in the midst of the storm. How? The answer lies in silence. Imagine your mind as a lake. When everything is calm, the surface reflects the clear sky without distortion. But when the wind of stress starts blowing, waves begin to form, the water becomes cloudy, and the view is blurred. External chaos is like that wind. It tries to stir your mind, distorting your perception of reality and making it harder to see what truly matters. Silence is the anchor that keeps your mind calm, like a serene lake, even when the wind is strong. In Stoicism, controlling the mind under pressure is a skill that doesn't happen by accident, but through constant practice, daily exercise, and teaching your mind to act wisely, instead of being dominated by the emotions of the moment. Epictetus, one of the great Stoic masters, said that true freedom lies in controlling our reactions, not in controlling the world around us. He reminds us that while we can't control the winds, we can control the direction of our sail. When you find yourself in a high-pressure situation, the impulse is to react immediately, whether with anger, frustration, or fear. But the Stoic understands that immediate reaction is often impulsive and doesn't bring wise results. Instead of acting in the heat of the moment, silence becomes a strategic pause. This pause isn't just the absence of words, but an intentional space to observe and think. At this moment, you have the chance to stop and ask yourself, what is the best way to act right now? This inner silence is what separates those who give in to pressure from those who remain calm and in control. It's like a chess master who, before moving their piece, carefully observes the board, considering all possibilities. They don't rush, they think. Silence, in this case, is the ability to see the future before acting, to take a step back and understand the entire situation. It brings clarity, strategy, and helps you act more efficiently without being overwhelmed by the pressure of the moment. And don't think that this silence means passivity or weakness. On the contrary, it's a reflection of your inner strength. Through silence, you're saying, I am not a slave to my environment. I am the master of my mind. This power comes from the understanding that, no matter how messy the world around you is, your inner peace depends on your ability to choose how to react. You can maintain control, even when everything around you seems to be in disorder. Seneca, another great Stoic, writes, "What disturbs men is not things, but their opinions about things." In other words, what really causes us suffering is not what happens, but the meaning we assign to it. Silence allows us to challenge these opinions, questioning them calmly and rationally. It gives us the chance to slow down the mind, view events from a broader perspective, and realize that many of our impulsive reactions are not as necessary as we imagine. The true practice of mental control under pressure is learning to intentionally cultivate this calm. Instead of letting stress take over, you become an observer, someone who watches the internal storm from the outside. Instead of giving in to the chaos of emotions, you observe them without being carried away by them. They are like clouds passing in the sky. You know they will pass, so there's no reason to fear them. Each time you choose a moment of silence, you are training your mind to be stronger, more resilient, and wiser. You are telling your mind, I am bigger than any challenge I face. I can stay silent, I can listen, I can reflect, and then I will act with the strength of one who has clarity. Remember that, as in Stoicism, true freedom does not lie in controlling the world, but in controlling our reaction to the world. When the pressure rises, you will be able to remain steady like a rock in a raging river. Silence is the point of balance, the center where wisdom and clarity meet, and where you can make decisions calmly and precisely. The next time you feel overwhelmed by pressure, stop, breathe, and organize your thoughts. This small gesture may be enough to calm the internal storm and give you back control. Silence is not just a technique, it is the power to master yourself and stay calm while the world around you tries to unbalance you. Eighth lesson, how to be calm and decisive at the same time. In a world that demands quick responses and immediate action, being calm and decisive at the same time can seem like an impossible challenge. The noise of everyday life, the pressure of important decisions, and constant distractions make many feel anxious, insecure, and unable to act with clarity. However, true strength lies not in the speed of our reactions, but in the wisdom of our choices. Imagine yourself on a battlefield, but not one full of violence and chaos. Instead, think of a field where every move must be calculated, where every step matters. Now, imagine you have the power to act with unwavering calm, as if time is stretching and each second is precious. No rush, but with the certainty that, when it's time to act, you will make the right move. That is the secret to being calm and decisive at the same time. Being calm doesn't mean being foolish. On the contrary, it is a state of balance, of being present and aware, but without being taken over by emotions or panic. Calmness is like a lit candle in the dark. It doesn't go out with the wind but shines brighter, illuminating the way. Even in times of adversity, when we find serenity, the mind becomes clear and our vision sharper. We are no longer blinded by impulsive emotions or the urgency of the moment. We see more deeply and can recognize what truly matters. It is in this state of calm that true decisions arise. Decisions do not come from haste or anxiety to act, but from the inner certainty that, when the right moment comes, you will know what to do. A decision is a reflection of trust, and trust can only be built when we cultivate serenity. It is not blind trust, but trust that comes from clarity and reflection. It is when you, in silence, observe what is happening, take a deep breath, and then act with all your being. Think for a moment. How many times have you regretted a decision made hastily? Or how many times has doubt and fear of making a mistake left you unsure of what to do? This happens because often we make decisions in a rush, pressured by a world that doesn't allow us time to reflect. However, by seeking calm, we can make more accurate choices, those that come from our true essence, not from anxiety or fear. Inner tranquility helps us distinguish what truly matters from what is just distraction. When we allow ourselves to breathe and think calmly, the answers begin to appear clearly. The decision no longer feels like a leap into the dark. It becomes a steady step toward what we feel is right. Being calm and decisive is a constant practice. It's learning to trust your instincts, your heart, and your mind, rather than being swept away by fear or doubt. By cultivating peace within, you realize that true strength lies in the ability to decide with confidence, without wavering, but also without rushing. Because being decisive doesn't mean acting quickly. It means acting with intention, with clarity, knowing that even in the midst of chaos, you have control of your path. Ask yourself, when I am agitated, am I really listening to my intuition, or am I just reacting to fear and stress? Calmness is the space where you can hear your inner voice and where you find the courage to make decisions, even when everything around you seems to want to speed things up. It is in this space of tranquility that you realize that, despite external difficulties, you have the power to remain steady and decide with clarity and wisdom. Did you like this video? Leave your comment below. If you're not sure what to write, just type, "I will be wise" at the end, and I'll know you watched until the end. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, take this opportunity to be part of this Stoic community. Don't forget to check out the 2 amazing videos on the screen. Keep diving into this transformative knowledge and put it into practice. I'll see you there.